you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
all in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk facts.
We're giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
Play it on the car ride, play it when you lounge. X and O, you know that we can hold it down. Shout out to my man Sammy, got it off the ground. And to all the listeners tuned in right now, got debates, analysis, and speculation. This is sports talk for the new generation. You know where to find us, got a reputation. Sick podcast, your #1 sports destination.
Giving all our devotion, riding high on this wave of emotion. Going all out, yeah, 'cause this is our time. No, ain't no stopping us till we reach the finish line. All in, we came here to win. We're gonna give everything. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick. On fire, we're ready to fight. We'll bring the house down tonight. S-I-C-K on the run. S-I-C-K, sick, sick.
S-I-C-K is the sickest podcast. Tune in for the audio, or you can even watch back. Giving players all the props or put them on blast. We don't give no hot takes, only talk back. S-I-C-K,
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 S-I-C-K.
S-I-C-K.
Turn up your volume. Because you're about to listen to The Sick Podcast. Bruins Vibes.
Bruins win the Stanley Cup.
Krejci going into the corner. But, oh,
there goes a pane of glass on a gigantic.
Are you kidding me?
The sickest Boston Bruins podcast.
Sends it in, and it's Pastrnak scores! Series winner for David Pastrnak and the Bruins.
It's gonna be sick.
Hey, here we go. Episode 25 of the Bruins Vibes podcast, where I hear post game on Sick Podcast Network, the sickest Bruins podcast, Bruins Vibes, that is. Bruins 4-1 over the Utah Mammoth tonight. It's your boy Brendan Sennett flying solo. A good pal, hockey scribe, the guru, was severely under the weather. Made a trip to Robert Williams Medical Center in Providence. Shout out to the nurses there. Took good care of them. He's really under the weather. They still don't know what the hell's wrong with him. I mean, of course, I think we all feel that way about Jimmy. No one really knows what the hell's wrong with him, but we're with you in spirit, Jimmy. Hope you feel better, bud. And hopefully you'll be back when we do a show on Thursday. So yeah, Bruins 4, Mammoth 1. Impressive. Bruins started off slow in this one, but finally got to their game in the second period. You down 1-0. Tied it at 1 on the power play before the end of the first on a snipe by Geekie. 2 goals on the night, up to 24 on the season. David Pastrnak, ho-hum, another 2 assists, another 2 apples for the growing legend that is number 88 in black and gold. And then goals in the third period with the Bruins clinging to a 2-1 lead by Mikey Eisemont and Casey Middlestat. With backbreakers, Bruins bounced back after that crappy performance where they really didn't show up. And, hey, I'm going to take credit for that loss. I got cocky. I was calling for the Patriots to win over the Bills in a blowout. That obviously was, but, hey, those 12 blind mice that the NFL sent to that game had something to do with that. And then the Bruins went out and laid an egg. They looked like they enjoyed Minneapolis, St. Paul a little too much on Saturday. Even Marco Sturm after that one said, we had a good trip. But obviously, that's topic number one. The leader in the clubhouse for the Jack Adams, Marco Sturm. Clearly, these guys respond to him. He clearly had some criticisms about them not playing the system and getting to their game, and they responded impressively. There's always that hangover after a long road trip. Start off a little slow. Said you're back with the family after flying home from the Midwest, and that was to be expected. But hey, 1-1 at the end of one, and then the Bruins pretty much controlled the game. Swayman with 20 saves, and again, Bruins are mid plus, closing in on being a pretty good team. So a couple of things I want to hit on tonight. Really stood out to me tonight before we get to the listeners, the viewers. Appreciate y'all being here. Charlie McAvoy. Now, I've been very critical of Charlie McAvoy the last few years. Acquiescing that Hampus Lindholm is actually the Bruins' true number one defenseman, despite all that talent that McAvoy has. But something, I don't know if he's not thinking about the game as much and he's just playing because he has the full shield on, but he looks like Charlie McAvoy that we all signed up for. Even confident on the power play where, he was a basket case, last season before he got hurt and this season before the injury. He's looked phenomenal. And like I said, I don't know if he's just playing free and easy with the the full shield, but Charlie McAvoy looks great. He looks like a franchise defenseman making, $8+ million a year. And that's got to make you feel good. So that's one thing for me to throw at you guys, how well McAvoy has played. Got to give credit to Jeremy Swayman. He was, granted, hung out to dry a lot in Minneapolis and St. Paul the other night, but, gave up a couple of softies, got out of hand there, 6-2 final. But got back to it tonight as well, was solid. And as listener Chris always points out, was sharp to his posts and looked like the elite goaltender that the Bruins need him to be. Again, I mentioned Marco Sturm. Guy just continues to impress me. Again, the leader in the clubhouse for the Jack Adams. These guys respond to him. He obviously has control of the room. And it's got to be noted that, he did scratch Yzerman on the trip. And look how he responded tonight. I mean, that was a pretty sweet goal that iced the game. One thing I want to throw out, what the hell was Dylan Gunther doing on that Middlestat goal? Like, bro, you just got posted and you want to get into the scrum. I reckon fans were really hoping that like Zadorov or Janot would kind of get their hands on that guy, because that was annoying. You know, little meek Casey Middlestat, who seems like, the quietest, like, mellow dude, scores a goal, and this guy, he's trying to do his celly and Gunther's getting in his face. I thought that was kind of weird. I don't know what you guys think about that. But yeah, and then the big topic that I want to throw at you guys, obviously, and this is where we miss Jimmy's expertise, because he's always working the phones and social media and his sources and all that. Buffalo Sabres finally fired their GM, Kevin Adams, and replaced him with Jarmo Kekalainen, former GM of the Blue Jackets. And the trades have started to happen. Obviously, the huge Quinn Hughes trade, that definitely injected some life, made things harder on the Bruins, even though the Wild were coming off a back-to-back Saturday while the Bruins were waiting for him. And, Quinn Hughes' debut game, and they played incredible. The trades have started happening. The Skinner Tristan Jarry trade, and then ironically they matched up tonight in Pittsburgh. So the point I'm getting to is, with Buffalo, the smart thing for the Buffalo Sabres to do is blow that thing up. Now, the Bruins have all these pieces, they have all these draft picks, and obviously Billy G, Bill Guerin, Boston's own, Springfield's own Bill Guerin, had the stones to put his cards in the middle of the table, literally called up Jim Rutherford and the Canucks and said, "Here's my offer." It was a crazy, great offer, and he got Quinn Hughes. My question to you guys out there is, what if the Bruins and Don Sweeney did that for Tage Thompson? What would Tage Thompson look like? And I'm fantasizing a bit, but what would an offer for Tage Thompson look like? Would you guys do some offer off the top of my head? Let's say Minton, Panthers pick, Lohrei, another prospect, and maybe a roster player. Would you do it if they decide to blow it up? And obviously we'll get to your comments, but some of those guys might ask out too. That's kind of what you have to think of. I mean, Alex Tuck is homegrown talent. He's unrestricted. Do you think honestly he's going to sign an extension there before getting to free agency, when he could go out and get the bag? So, I know it's high in the sky that the Bruins would finally get their number one center that they haven't had since Bergie retired. But just, a juicy topic to throw out at you guys here, as the inmates kind of run the asylum without Jimmy here. Back to the Bruins as a whole. Again, we had talked about that, this show, or this homestand on the show, that is, was going to be kind of a litmus test, with some good teams coming in. I mean, you have to recognize the Mammoth are a pretty good team, so that's a nice win tonight. Big test is going to be Thursday. I'm interested to see if Sturm goes back to Swayman against the Oilers, and then maybe goes Corpy against Vancouver. Then you got a back-to-back, right? With Ottawa coming in Sunday, the old, so there's a couple of those every season, right? They already had one Black Friday and then the Saturday with Detroit. If what he does with the goaltending. I don't know if I would start Corpy against the suddenly kind of streaking Oilers. I think you got to put your best out there against the best. So I think he probably goes with Swayman, right, guys? And then, and then Corpy, um, Saturday against the Canucks, and then back to Swayman against Ottawa, and maybe he matched up against his old buddy Allmark there. But yeah, I mean, you got to feel good if you're a follower of the Boston Bruins. Jimmy said it last episode. They're going to be in it. So again, unless you can do something and get an all-world player like Tage Thompson, the hope has to be that they make moves to get that scoring that they're looking for, but not mortgage the future. Because who's to say they couldn't make some noise in this Eastern Conference this year? I know Vasilevsky just came back for Tampa. They look pretty scary. They really didn't miss a beat without him. But it's to me, the East is wide open. I know Florida's going to get their guys back. Kachuk should be back soon. But then you look at the rest of the conference, and Bruins have to be taken seriously. Again, where I sit in Detroit, the Red Wings are playing well now, but when the Bruins showed up, the Red Wings kind of wilted under their forecheck and the physicality. So I have a hard time taking the Red Wings seriously. Apologies to my good friends and buddies here that I hang out with on a regular basis. You got bigger problems because your Lions are a disaster. But anyways, yeah, why can't the Bruins be considered, one of those kind of, not on the bubble teams, but they have to be taken seriously if they keep playing well. So yeah, that's kind of it. Again, solid win, 4-1 over a good team. Nice win for the Black and Gold tonight, coming back off the long road trip. So Jimmy, our awesome producer in Montreal, let's chop it up with the listeners here. Let's go to those listener comments. Let's see what we got. All right, here's our guy Harry Mostaway. Harry Mostaway. What about Leon O'Brien chasing Steves and some of the other smaller players around in the last 25? Yeah, he's a bit of a goon. Wouldn't be the first time that an Irish dude got in a fight inside TD Garden. But yeah, he was definitely kind of gooning it up there at the end, and it was kind of a sneaky change there that he got on the ice, and was kind of throwing the ref around, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that was a bit of a clown move, Harry. I'm with you on that one. What else you got for me, Jimmy? Harry, again, I would be all in on Tate Thompson for sure. What would it take? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, and I know we're gonna hear from some of the guys like Ethan and Chris that are a little more connected. I hate the podcast is a talk show, just throwing out a topic there. I just think Thompson would be sick in black and gold, and then you could build the team, him on a line with Pasta, forget about it. And then you could have a Lindholm Geekie second line. Whew, then we're talking. But again, what would it take, and would Buffalo even consider it? Who knows? All right, what else you got for me here, Jimmy? All right, there he is. C066342. Hope Jimmy is doing all right. Just chatted with him last night on our show. Hope he's been getting better throughout the day. Yeah, he was back home, Chris. Yeah, so he was just resting. Obviously, didn't feel up to coming on tonight. But hopefully, yeah, he lays low. I know he missed the eye test today too with Pierre McGuire here on the Sick Podcast Network. But yeah, let's hope he finally gets some rest. I mean, the guy goes nonstop, and getting ready to go back out to Ireland in a few weeks that he just got back. So yeah, definitely thinking about you there, Jimmy. All right, what else you got for me, Jimmy? All right, there's my boy at Ethan Russell 5512. I love how the Bruins had to regain zone entry on the power play late in the second because of two dumb ideas by McAvoy. True, he still does have those gaffes. Again, I hate that, and they all do it. All that drop pass that the Bruins D-man does, where they kind of like drop it back to a forward. It's almost like a weird like catapult effect kind of thing. I don't like that. I was hoping Steve Spott would get rid of that, but obviously they see something. They're the experts. They seem to have figured out this thing where they like try to time the zone entry, like as the forwards are approaching the blue line. They're going to get hosed out of a goal at some point soon by a borderline offsides call. It's just like they try to time it perfectly, and it seems to have improved their zone entries, which was a huge problem for them last year. That's a good call by you, Ethan. And yeah, sometimes, McAvoy's, again, he shouldn't be. I am still on, and I think, Ethan, you'd agree with me. I am still on the train that Charlie McAvoy should not be quarterback in the number one power play. Have him out there if you want. If you want, him to be like the Rover. I mean, you know, Brick pointed to it, and Ethan, great job by you triggering this in my head. The fact that, Geekie now occupies that spot on the right elbow that Pasta always did. And Pasta's like the Rover now. He's kind of taken over that like Marchand role of kind of moving around the zone with his playmaking skills, and continues to be an unreal playmaker as well as one of the premier goal scorers in hockey, cementing his status as, if we say on the show, one of the top 5, top 7 players in the world, let alone the National Hockey League. And, it's cool to see. But, my thing has been, and what the hell do you have to lose? Put McAvoy out there and as a rover moving around. And, he's still reluctant to shoot. There was one where he had a wide open shot and he kind of went all Monty and tried to get the, extra pass and forced it. It got deflected away. Let him do what he does best and move around and skate and get moving, and then see what he can do on the power play. Lindholm should be quarterback in PP1, and then, whoever else on PP2 if you want to do Lorai. I don't know. I would be remiss if I didn't, and I know, Ethan, you pointed this out last episode. Victor Soderstrom continues to impress. Will we ever see Henry Yokiharu again? I don't know, man. I mean, Soderstrom was a +2 tonight. Guy moves the puck, strong on his edges, done a really good job. I think he's exceeded expectations coming up. And again, Yokiharu was a hot mess, bad signing. We've talked about it ad nauseum here. And I really hope he never plays another game for the Bruins again. I hope they do the Mike Riley treatment with him and just kind of put him out to pasture and hope someone for team claims him. What else you got for me, Jimmy? All right, Eddie through Russell 5512. I'm ready for Kuzi to never see the ice again once everyone is healthy. LOL. Yes. Ethan is on board the team Kuzi, get the hell out of town train. He did look better tonight. He that was probably his best game, you would have to agree, in probably about 2 weeks. He definitely seemed more active, making plays and things like that. But I agree with you. I mean, I think, whether they add a forward here by trade, and again, I like the philosophy of Billy G and Jim Rutherford's done it in the past when the roles were reversed. Get a guy as fast as you can if you can improve your team. And I wouldn't be mad if Sweeney made a trade tomorrow for some legit, top 6 scoring. And yeah, I agree with you 100%, Ethan, that Kuzi should be the odd man out. All right, what else you got for me there, Jimmy? At Ethan's Russell 5512. If the Bruins are serious about making playoffs, they should look at Mason Marchment. Agreed. Solid postseason performer, mean as a snake. Guy mucks it up, goes to the dirty areas on the ice. That's a really solid call. I like that one, Ethan. Well said, brother. What else you got, Jimmy? All right, at C066342, Buffalo absolutely should not blow it up. They can't afford to go into another full rebuild. They have some very solid and some great pieces to work with. Yeah, I would say that, Chris, but playing devil's advocate, that core, it hasn't worked so far. They've gone nowhere. The Owen Power, Paige Thompson, Rasmus Dahlin core. The goalies still stink. Devin Levi hasn't panned out. Definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again. And to my point, if someone makes a Billy G type offer, Capellian would be stupid not to take something like that, right? Whether it's for Tage, Balim, somebody like that. stranger things have happened. Like I said, I mean, I agree with you that they're all good players, but it hasn't worked together. So why not use one or two of them to get pieces and picks and whatever back to like rebuild? Because I mean, really, even even if what would they do, Chris? They would have to make so many moves that have them go 100% right, keeping that core intact for them to even be considered relevant, as opposed to competitive in a fringe playoff team. Um, I love when I don't get emails for 3 hours and then all of a sudden I get emails from JC Penney. Anyway, what else you got for me, Jimmy? C no 66342. Tage hasn't made any indications of wanting out of Buffalo. In fact, the opposite. Tuck and Tage have made it known they want to be part of the solution in Buffalo and turning the franchise around. Yeah, and I mean that you got to admire that, right? I mean, we all criticize pro athletes for you know, wanting to jump ship and being divas and things like that. You got to respect if they want to stay there. Like I said, Tuck is from there, but at some point, when's enough? You know what I mean? I think that's it. It's like, and if they're gonna get their socks blown off with an offer, and some you know asinine team like the Leafs and Traveling will call up and offer a king's ransom for Dahlin. You know what I mean? Moving defenseman. I mean, the Leafs haven't found one of those in 25 years. So, like, you just never know. But in principle, I agree with you, Chris, that yeah, those guys want to stay. Again, it was strictly a hypothetical. Hit me, Jimmy. What else you got, buddy? See no 66342. I think you're more likely to see Tuck extended by January 1st than you are to see him traded. Yeah, no, and you know what? I will disagree with you on that one. I don't think he's going to be extended or traded. I think he's just going to go to market. I think they're going to ride it out, and I think he's going to go to UFA and get the bag. I mean, you know, it's kind of like Marner leaving the Leafs, right? I mean, there's no there's no rule that says even though you play for your hometown team that you have to stay there. And sometimes, the mental wear and tear of um, you know, playing in your hometown and having to worry about tickets for everybody and which family members are going to be there and yada yada. Some guys don't like it, and maybe I can confess to know what Alex Tuck does, does behind closed doors and where his feelings are with his family and things like that. But I just think that the way the Sabres have, continue to be bottom feeders, haven't made the playoffs in decade plus, like, why would he stay there? But hey, we'll see what happens. What else you got for me, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell 5512, look at Rasmus Anderson instead and lock him up for 8 times 8.5. Yeah, I could I agree with you. I agree with you. And I know, but hey, again, we all could speculate, right? And I know Chris in the past has speculated that it's out there that he wouldn't want to come to Boston, but you know, why not? The Bruins definitely. You got to give the devil its due, right? I mean, again, this is Jimmy and I call Don Sweeney and Cam Neely out all the time, and this piss and vinegar roster, it's worked out. When the Bruins show up, and now they've had 3 clunkers this year, right? Um, maybe 4 if you count the other Colorado game. But when they show up, they're a pain in the ass to play against. They hit you, they get in on the forecheck, they clear out the crease in front of Swayman. They don't take any crap. I thought it was funny. Hey, I'm sure a lot of you guys nerd out like I do and watch Behind the B. The door off like a kid in the schoolyard. Like, forget what game it was, but somebody sprayed Swayman and he was like the big kid in the schoolyard. He spray my goalie one more time and watch what happens. I thought that was kind of funny. It's like this big, huge Russian dude. And he's like, yeah, like a kid on the playground, like, don't touch my little brother again or I'm gonna mess you up, kind of thing. Thought that was kind of amusing. All right, what else you got for me, Jimmy? C no 66342 at Ethan Russell 5512 for the acquisition cost of Anderson. I think there could be a better value deal out there. I think Sweeney is looking for a two-way player. FWD and RHD, right-handed D. Yep, I agree. Yeah, but and that's what I said to Jimmy. I think the Bruins always lean towards shoring up the decor. I think you know again in my 40 years of following this team, like you know they've always shied away from getting the flashy scorer and things like that. They like those 200-foot players, but as much as we'd all like to see him get a legit sniper that could just like put the puck in the net, it's never really been their style, whether I agree with it or not. Um, so yeah, it wouldn't shock me if they went out and they got Dean. What else you got for me there, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell 5512. I love the Bruins to try and get Marchment and Anderson, lock up Anderson long term. Let's see what you want to do with Marchment after the season. That would be sick. That would be absolutely sick. Um, but again, it's all predicated on the cost, right, Ethan? It's like, you don't want to miss out on as many kicks as you can in this loaded draft coming up. I do like the prospect of always leading with that Florida pick because you figure that, Florida, they're going to get their guys back and they're going to make a run, so they're always, and they continue to be stacked. They're not going to be drafting anywhere near the top 10 to 15 for at least another 4 or 5 years. So yeah, lead that. Hey, I got this great first round pick from Florida, guys. It's first round pick is a first round pick. So, put that in a package. Who knows, right? But yeah, those would be great acquisitions if Sweeney could do that without giving up too much of the future. What else you got for me, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell 5512, Coleman and Anderson. That would be solid as well. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Again, I'm of the opinion of act now, ask questions later, before some of these other teams decide. Because, you guys watch these games every night. Again, the Bruins are legit. Again, are they great? Certainly not. Are they cup contenders? Probably not as constructed, but they might be pulling up past the recently labeled by me as mid plus to good. They're it's a funny formula. I've said this probably in half the episodes. Hockey should be called goalie, Alain Vigneault, and when Swayman's on his game, Bruins are in it most nights. What else you got for me there, Jimmy? At C no 663.42 at Ethan Russell 55. I think the cost for those two would be too high, and they look for a better value buy. Yeah, there's something definitely to that argument. Like I said, if they have to pay too much, the aforementioned King's ransom, you don't want to do that for those two guys, especially when there's no guarantee that Anderson's going to resign. Now, if you could, do some backroom maneuvering, which we've all known has happened in the past, that you make the trade and then, you get Anderson to immediately sign an extension, that incentivizes the cost that I'd be willing to pay for a guy like that because, we can all salivate over a top four of, Lindholm, McAvoy, Anderson, Zadorov. You know what I mean? Like pretty damn impressive. And I know he's been one of Jimmy's favorite whipping boys, but I don't know who's he still has his terrible turnovers, but I mean Nikita Zadorov has to be impressing you and has to be impressing people around the league of his evolution, right? Um, you know, yeah, I mean, he's definitely found a home. He clearly likes, loves Boston, loves what the Bruins represent, and you got to give him his due. We'll pin Jimmy down on Zadorov, when he's back on the show, because I've always been a fan, just simply for the fact that he's one of the few Russian players that calls out that war criminal Vladimir Putin. But I digress. It'd be interesting to see what he says about Zadorov's play, because the guy's doing everything right now. Had an assist tonight, was a +1. it's a force to be reckoned with. No one messes with the guy, and something has clicked for him. I don't know if he's working with the real Big Z or it's Sperm, who knows? But you got to tip your cap to that guy and how he's evolved, even just since signing. And again, one thing you learn about me, um, I hate referees. Okay, referees, umpires, I feel like they ruin the purity of sports, and they've gotten dumber as the technology has gotten better. But and the refs do pick on Zadorov. There's some meat calls, and Brick is usually hilarious when the calls bad. But he gets his requisite kind of weak 2-minute penalty, but he doesn't. He's not out there hunting for it, and it seems like the ones that he's taken not have been necessary, but haven't been as foolish as they were last year. All right, what else you got for me there, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell, 55-12. Yeah, but good GMs take those risks. I'd rather give up a draft pick for a player who's already proven in the league. Well said, right? And I think more so with the case of the Boston Bruins, right? How many misses has Don Sweeney had? The Jack Stugnikas and things like that, right? God, Jacob Zaboral and on, right? I mean, when your best draft pick, the last, other than Hagens and Letourneau, it seems, prior to that, was Jake DeBrusk. And, that guy used to drive me crazy. I don't know how you felt about that. And, does anyone miss him? Does anyone really miss Jake DeBrusk? I don't. So yeah, that's a great point, Ethan. Like, it is Don Sweeney who's, never going to be confused with, the greatest drafter in the history of mankind. And, if you can get franchise pillars that are in your prime that are proven, I would tend to agree with you. What else you got, Jimmy? At C no 6342. The core has gone nowhere because the GM was Kevin Adams. Jarmo knows hockey, knows scouting and trading. All right. Yeah. I mean, there you go. Chris, you're versed on that kind of stuff. I, definitely defer to you. I just am always of, since time immemorial when, in all sports, when there's a regime change, they even made mention to it about when the Coyotes drafted Soderstrom and then the GM quit and the new GM took over. Guys like to put their own imprints on things. They like to start from the bottom. So that's just kind of my point is, Jarmo, obviously, well respected around the league and around the hockey community, but he might want to put his own stamp on that club. And, a guy like Owen, I mean, the consensus is right. Power is the guy that's going to be the first one out, right? Because, doesn't play to his size. Like it seems, soft as what, and like what they gave up for him. It just you know what I mean? It just doesn't work. But yeah, I also see what you're saying, Chris. What else you got for me, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell, 55-12. Yep. Had some good trades and good drafting in Columbus. I'm excited for Buffalo. Yeah, I mean, the fact of the matter is Buffalo is an incredible hockey town, right there on the other side of the border. It's good for the league when the Sabres are good and relevant. So, you hope you turn it around, but you figure it's going to take at least 3 years. And that, and that kind of goes into what I'm saying about Tage and Dahlin. Like, are they going to want to stick around for another 3 years? I don't know. Hit me again, Jimmy. What else we got? At Cino 6342, the Leafs don't have a king's ransom to offer anyone. True, but a lot like, I'm a big conspiracy theorist in that, somehow, some way, teams like the Leafs and the Lakers and whatever have a way of like Jedi mind tricking other GMs and like, oh, hey, yeah, take this guy or take this guy. And, I guess they could probably lead with a package of Matthew Nyes, who they just extended in a deal for Dahlin. And it wouldn't shock me if they try to do something like that. Who's the kid you love in Toronto that just got called up? I'm drawing a total blank. Powen, right? So, young forward there, maybe, he slides into Nye's spot if they build a package around Nyes. Hit me again, Jimmy. What else you got, buddy? C no 66342. Anderson has told Boston he won't re-sign with them. Obviously, things can change, but I see Sweeney shopping somewhere else. Interesting. Yeah. I mean, if that's true, that definitely plays a factor in what you would want to give up. Because this isn't like the past where, you know, the Chara, Bergie, Marchand era where, every year the Bruins are relevant and they're considered contenders, favorites to win the division, that, you can afford to, keep kicking the can down the road and, okay, let's trade this guy or let's, get this rental. Uh, and then, you know, like kind of stall things out that way. You know what I mean? Um, what else you got, Jimmy? At Ethan Russell 5512. Yeah, I'm dreaming. LOL. Who am I kidding? It is weird that he wouldn't want to stay in Boston. But look, I've learned the times that, I've been around when, I was in locker rooms when, I was a kid here in Detroit, you know, um, you know, for every rumor, there's a counter rumor, right? And until you get that guy actually in a room, for everyone that's saying, like, oh, he won't resign in Boston. I mean, how do we know actually that he doesn't love Boston? He might, for whatever reason, maybe his wife loves Boston or whatever it is. But like, till you actually like look the guy in the eye, you can speculate one way or the other. Us that are all, in and around Boston, love the city, whatever, we always look at people like, well, why the hell wouldn't that guy want to come here? It's, you know, classic city, one of the great American cities. And it's like, okay, but, you got to really know what he's thinking. So, you know, fun to speculate one way or the other. And, it's those rumors until they're substantiated could always go one way or the other. Right. Um, anything else for me, Jimmy? At C 66342. The last Jedi mind trick that Conroy pulled off was sending Matthew Tkachuk to Florida. That worked out well for him. Toronto's in great hands if they want to trade Nyes. LMAO. True, but desperate, desperate teams do desperate things, right? I agree with you that you wouldn't want to trade a core piece like Nyes, but again, you have to give up to get. And if they were going to get a franchise pillar like Dalim, puck moving defenseman, they'd have to give something up. And they're not going to trade Willie, right? Like, so I figured Nyes would be the most tradable commodity. Again, you guys tell me. What else you got for me, Jimmy? I think that's it. So, yeah, appreciate you guys being here. Again, I know it was just me. It was the backup quarterback without, Jimmy's insight. But you guys are great. Appreciate you always being here. Again, impressive wing. Tell I'm not as coherent at 10:40 p.m. as I am in the middle of the day. That those 5:30 wake up calls come early. No, my point is Bruins with a nice win tonight. Big test coming against the Oilers. I think even if they lose but don't get blown out, if they play well, it's going to keep incentivizing the fact that, you know, they're kind of legit. I mean, there's really no way to put it. Again, nice win tonight against a quality opponent, 4-1. Got to their game in the second, pretty much took over. It was a fun game to watch. Again, they're exceeding all of my expectations. I don't know how you guys feel, but they certainly aren't boring. And again, just watching Pasta every night is worth the price of admission. And if Swayman's going to be Vezina caliber, they're enjoyable to watch. So I'm gonna call it a night there on that note. Again, Bruins 4, Mammoth 1. We'll be back in some capacity after the Edmonton game. More than likely, Jimmy likes the brunches. He likes the Bruins vibes brunches midday. Chances are Friday. That's what we'll end up doing after the Oilers game. hopefully Jimmy's rounded back into form and is feeling better. Again, we appreciate everybody being here, the usual suspects, Chris, Ethan, Harry. Appreciate you guys. You guys carry me with your knowledge and your, insight, kind of filling in for Jimmy with the good insight, stuff on the Sabres and all that. So I appreciate you guys. Producer Jimmy, always awesome, always eager beaver. Great working with you always, buddy, up there in Montreal. Again, spread the word. We want to grow this podcast. We let you fans get involved on the Sick Podcast Network. I mean, it's clear. We are the Sickest Bruins podcast. Again, Jimmy, feel better, buddy. We missed you. You were with us in spirit. Appreciate you. I am your guy, Brennan Sennett. Again, Bruins 4, Mammoth 1, Geekie with 2, Pasta with 2 assists, Swayman 20 saves. Nice win. I'm out of here, everybody. And thanks for being here. Take care.
And that's a wrap. Hope you don't miss us too much until next time. Follow the Sick Podcast Bruins Vibes on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, Google Play, and Apple Podcasts.